This is something I'm going to want to have that we can work through together as clients and coaches together as well. If you were at Gary's mastermind, either virtually or in person, throw in the chat box or raise your hand. I just want to get a feel for who has already seen some of this information and for whom this information might be brand new. Is this going to be brand new for everyone? Let me pull up my chat box. I don't even have it pulled up. There we go. Yeah, so it looks like this is going to be brand new information for the whole crew. No one was at Gary's mastermind, either virtually or in person, that I'm missing. Carol, you are perfect. Very good. So you might have seen this already, in which case we'll just take it another step deeper as well as we keep going. And I might even ask for you, Carol, since you have already done some of this math, at least theoretically, if you were in that room, you may have some specific takeaways or ahas that you have had since having gotten that information and then come home to be able to potentially implement some of it too. Okay. Has anyone heard any takeaways from Gary? Oh, yes, this is new. Okay, fine. Very good. Very good. Thank you for clarifying that. Has anyone heard any takeaways from that room in Buzz with Friends or around the Market Center? Good to go. Okay, perfect. Then we're going to dive right into it. So like I kind of alluded to here a second ago, I'm going to see if I can do this. We're just going to do it this way. Like I alluded to a second ago, this is going to be a math heavy call, not difficult math. I promise you that. It's not going to be difficult math. It's going to be easy math. And those of you that coach with me, we've probably had a similar conversation around this last week. We're just going to go ahead and implement it into practice. Okay. So this is going to be a screen share heavy call, and I'm going to do it this way, even though it's not particularly sophisticated. Can everyone see my screen? So that way yes. I can see you guys. Thank you. I can see you guys still. I can see the chat still a little bit more easily as well. And we're going to work through this. So one of the many, let me show you guys. One of the many playbooks that came from Gary's mastermind last week with top agents was this one that was specific to understanding your database. So we can all thank Jason Abrams for these incredible playbooks that are so applicable, so easy. And this slideshow, I'm happy to send out to you guys after the call as well so that you have this. If you operate a team, and by team, I mean if it is you and anyone else, an administrative assistant, a showing partner, a husband-wife team, a massive team of a ton of agents, I don't care how many people it's comprised of, I'm going to beg and plead and ask you to please do this with your team as well. Why might that be important? Why can't the information just stay up here with the Rainmaker? You know I can.
Together we rise.
Together we rise, right?
I was going to say that.
Yeah, together.
We all want to win. You want to win. You want them to win because if they win, you win.
100% spot on, right? Additionally, too, if this is emphasizing the importance of the database, having clarity over the numbers of that and the value of that, your entire team, administrative, sales, whatever, needs to be bought into those numbers as well, right? It's the same as when, I don't know, someone just spits out a number to me. Okay, it doesn't mean anything, right? Working through the math with them. And again, it's simple math is going to make this sticky. Okay. So Jason Abrams pulled up this chart or doodled this chart. You know, how we love a good doodle. I wonder if I can, am I going to screw it up if I zoom in? I'm not going to say, well, yep, see, I shouldn't have done it. Jason Abrams pulled up this chart showing that typically what ends up happening in an agent's business, again, whether you are a solo agent, an agent plus admin, or you run a massive team, doesn't matter, is that we at some point in time create a touch system for our business, right? 36 touch, 89 touch, 269 touch, I don't care, right? At some point in time, we created a touch system for our business, correct? Yes, yes. And then over time, we continued to add leads to that system, correct? Yes, right? What Jason pointed out is at some point in time, we stopped improving our touch plan to match the number of leads that we have in our system. So what ends up happening is that we get a massive opportunity gap. We may still be operating at a 24 touch plan and we've got 6,700 people in our database, whatever. So the question is, if not your database, What is the value of your business based off of? Can anyone think of anything outside of your database that is particularly valuable in your business? Is anyone going to buy all your lockboxes out systems? Fair, fair. And you can pay people, or people can pay you for your systems, right? A lot of times those systems circle back to servicing what? Database. Referrals. Referrals. Can we agree, Will, that referrals are part of the database? Is that okay? Yeah, right. Yes, with a frown face. Yes, with a smiley face. We love referrals. Right? So if we have a clearer understanding of, there we go, yes, of the value of our database, especially in a market where most everywhere it has become harder to find business. Is that true? Is anyone in one of those anomaly areas where it's actually been easier for them to find business this year? No. Okay. There are a couple of weird pockets, but yeah. So here's where we're going to start. I need for everyone to take a split second and pull up their database, whether it's Command, Follow Up Boss, Rivety, whatever it is. And we need to write down how many total contacts are in our database. For the purposes of this math, you'll see here in parentheses, we are only counting real people. What does that mean? Who's not a real person in the database?
Zillow referrals.
If nothing ever happened with them. Did anyone else ever pay for leads where they got like the Hamburglar signed up for home alerts? Just me. Pretty proud of that one. That one really made me giggle, right? So, sometimes we pay for online lead services and we get things like the Hamburglar, or the Notorious B.I.G. is signing up for home search, or Tom Petty is looking for, they put in just junk, right? They don't actually want to contact you, or vice versa. Take those people out. So when you have your number, go ahead and throw a thumbs up on the virtual emoji screen. Mike's already got his, or you can throw up a physical one. I'm scrolling through too to see. But we want to have that number of how many total contacts do we have. Okay. Yep. Will's good with his. Chelsea's looking for hers. Nicole's got hers. Carol, I can see, is looking for hers. Yep. Louisa, I saw hopped on, but I don't see her face. I'm going to assume that she's got hers because I know that Rain keeps a tight grip on that. Yep. Okay. Is anyone still searching for their number of contacts? Are we good? Good. Good. Carol's got hers. Good. Okay. Lead cost multiplier. The number that Jason gave us here to use is $26 a lead. Okay, and then I'm going to scoot back to the non-example, $26 a lead. If you kind of aggregate it across various platforms, across different lead sources, and looked at, okay, how much would it cost me to purchase these leads over the long haul? What would it pan out to? He said, just use 26 bucks. It's a fairly conservative amount. Okay. Just got at the gym. Louisa's not showing her face yet. Okay, fair enough. We'll go with that. We'll go with that for now. And then annual multiplier. This says this is the guess on how long your database will yield opportunities at the current rate as long as you operate it. And again, for the example, he's giving 3. Just give it 3 years. If I stepped out of my business today and walked away from it, I should roughly expect to see, based on my touch system, I'd get some referrals in for the next 3 years. Then it would probably fizzle out. Is that fair? If you have a particularly robust touch program already in place, and you feel like you could walk away and continue to receive referrals for the next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, great, put that number in there. But please be honest with yourself, right? Please be honest with yourself. If you're not raking in the referrals as it currently stands, chances are if you left, you're not really going to get referrals for the next 6, 7, 8 years. Is that fair? Is that okay for us to say? Okay. Okay, so here's Jason's example of the math. So this agent has 15,000, we're going to call them real contacts, names, emails, phone numbers. There's something I can use to get in touch with this person. It's not the Hamburglar, right? He's, again, using $26 a lead as our cost, our lead cost multiplier. So that gives us $390,000. But over the next 3 years, if we let this database just churn and burn and do its thing, we would expect to get business from it, right? Referrals, et cetera, et cetera. So he's saying that this person's particular database is worth $1.17 million. Does everyone understand how we got there? Is anyone completely lost as to how we got there? Okay, moment of truth. Who feels comfortable sharing their database value? I said we were doing math. This isn't just to look at the numbers, right? 136K. Who else? Simple math. I told you. I know we can all do this math. We can calculate commissions. We can do this math. Who else? I'm going to wait for you guys to do the math because that's what that means. Does everyone have their number? 1.44. We're missing a weird zero there. I'm assuming it's 1.4. Yeah, Mike's making up his own version of numbers here. Okay. Yep. Okay. So with a database of 136K of 1.4, are we treating it, this question down at the bottom, are we treating it like it's a cash asset that is worth that amount of money? Including team contacts, very good, 546. And that's an interesting distinction to make too, Will. And I really want to dig into it. If you're comfortable with me asking a question about it, I'll wait for that. Won't just blurt it out. Sure. Your team contacts, are those folks getting touched by your CRM system and your touch program, or are your team members required to create their own touch program for their people? Curious about that. Right. So Ben, again, to go back to the question while Will's turning that over, are we treating our database as if it is worth what we just calculated it out to be worth? Yes? Getting some head nods, I'm getting some pursed lips. How would we know? How do you know?
I mean, are we making that much?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Hold that thought for a second. How would you know that you are treating it, we're going to use your example, Mike, as a $1.4 million asset?
What does your pipeline look like?
Say more about that, Dana.
Yeah, I mean, if you're feeding, let's say, feeding your database, you know, you're going to be building up business now, business in 6 months, business in a year. So you're going to be able to see the incoming income.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a robust pipeline, what does that say?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Would it be fair to say that our touch system would also kind of indicate how well we are loving on that asset? Right?
Yes, I agree.
Right? If we have a robust, same thing of any other relationship. If we have a relationship with our database, we would have a robust touch system. We would be in contact with them, loving on them, blah, 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 right? Same thing with any other relationship we have. If I say that I'm close with my boyfriend, that I'm going to be talking with him, all those types of things, right? Will gave me an answer to that question too. It touches from our CRM with our team's personal branding. Yep. But touches are also personalized to the agent owner's info. That makes sense. That makes sense. That's good. Yep. So it gives the agent some love, but also ultimately leads them back to the team. Cool. Very good. Okay. Does everyone have their number here? Does everyone have their assessed database value? Yes? Very good. Okay, and if you've jumped in late, don't stress it. Don't stress it. This is coming to you. I'll send you this in an email if you'll drop your email in the chat box too. Okay, so now that we have our assessed value, now we need to look at what is my current total database conversion rate? What am I actually getting out of my database, right? So total contacts, we've already got that number from the first slide, right? We're only counting real people. We're not counting the Hamburglar. Poor guy's just going to be completely outed from the real estate market after this conversation, right? We're not counting Notorious B.I.G. We're only counting real people in our database with contact information that we could get in touch with. Okay. And then we're going to divide that by, we're going to divide transactions closed by the number of people in our database, right? So again, we're going to look at our dummy example. So this person closed 227 units. They've got 15,000 people in the pipeline, or in the database, I should say. Choose my words more carefully. So then we've got a database conversion rate of 1.5%. Do your math real quick. This should be a dividing line, guys. I'm just now noticing this, not a times. This is an error. Okay, right? We want transactions divided by contacts to get that percent. Does that make sense? I'll be sure to tell Jason. Kidding. Right? Does everyone have their database conversion rate? Who cares to share? What we got? Don't hold back. We're being so vulnerable and kind with one another on these numbers. 9.5%. Okay. And we've got a surprise face. Are we surprised happy, surprised sad? 2%. Yep. Surprised happy. I'm going to tell you, 9.5% is pretty dang good. That's good. It's interesting. Okay, so we got a 2%. Anyone else feel the gumption to share their conversion rate?
So we're taking our contacts divided by the number of closed transactions last year.
You're taking your transactions divided by your contacts.
Okay.
Transactions divided by contacts. Yep. Yep. And again, this should not be a multiplication symbol. This should be a dividing symbol.
Divided, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Just to keep us on our toes. I said it would be easy math, and then we've got wrong symbols in there just to keep it interesting, right? Okay. Any other questions about this? Do we have that number? Whether you feel like sharing it or not, do we have it? Good to go? Okay, next
Yes.
step. Okay, good. Determine total database financial opportunity. So this goes to what Mike was saying earlier. How much money is actually sitting in our database? The first number that we calculated is, what if I needed to sell this database to someone else? Right? This is how much it would cost to buy these leads, to put this stuff in there. But what is it that I actually should be converting out of this? So again, we're going to take that total real contacts number that we got in step 1, not the Hamburglar, not Tom Petty, total real contacts, right? And we're going to times that by our database conversion number. Okay. That's going to show us what our actual number is currently. And then, for example, I'm going to use Will as an example here. So Will said 9.5% is his conversion number right now, and he's thrilled with it. If we went absolutely berserk crazy and somehow decided we're going to turn that into an 11% conversion ratio, take it even higher, then you can do this. You can say, okay, total contacts in my database times 11%. That's my new goal. Does this make sense? So you can run the math on, well, what if I didn't want it to be a 9.5% conversion ratio? What if I didn't want it to be a 2% conversion ratio? What if I didn't want it to be like this person, a 1.5% conversion ratio? Right? So here's the example worked out. So we've got 15,000 contacts, like this person has said in step 1, real contacts, people we could actually touch on, love on, convert. And they're going to use the 4% as their acceptable database conversion rate, showing that this database should convert 600 units Okay, here's where things get fun. Do you guys have your number? Yes? So then you can do some math. Look down here. So for example, this team last year closed 221 units for 121 million in volume, makes their average sales price 550, right? If we took their rate instead, we can see that there's an opportunity gap. I don't know why this is cut off, but whatever. There we go. If we took their gap into consideration, they could add 379 closed units for an additional 208 million in business. So pause here for a second. Who has a number that they have worked out with their ideal acceptable database conversion? Throw your hand up. I'm going to pick on you. Yeah, Chelsea, what you got?
So I have kind of two separate databases. I have a full one that it has everybody, and then I have another one that I have all 4 points of contact with. I have that number too.
Let's start with the full one that has everybody, but I love that you're doing this both ways.
Okay.
So give us an idea. So first of all, how many total contacts do you have?
1753.
1753. And that takes us to, what was our actual value for our database that you worked out?
136.
136. And then if we figured out our financial opportunity, well, first of all, what was your database conversion rate as it currently stood?
1.3.
1.3. And what was your acceptable database conversion ratio that you chose?
Just to double it, 2.5.
2.5. And I think that if you don't know where to go with that ratio, then doubling it is a great idea. Now, I will say, Will, doubling it from 9.5 to what is that, 19? I love the ambition, but we'll see about that, right? That would be an impressive feat. Okay. So what does that give you with your actual potential transactions, Chelsea?
43.
43, which would be up how many from last year?
18.
Up 18 units. With your average sales price, how much is that in volume?
That number, hang on.
That's them really throwing stuff at you.
10 million.
A
Almost
10
11
million
million.
additional volume. 10 million additional in volume. Doubling your rate, your conversion rate to that 2 point, what was it?
2.5.
2.5 rate. Does that seem doable to you?
Yeah.
Does it seem impossible?
No.
What would have to be different?
Probably just the intentionality in it, because the plan's already there. It's just making sure that one of the steps doesn't get missed.
Okay, so hold that thought. Absolutely. Who else has an example that they'd like to share with their database and their opportunity? Who else is comfortable sharing that? I know it's vulnerable. Thank you, Chelsea, for being brave in that.
Yeah, I can double my business too. Or just seems by a little bit more work, I could double it. I like what Chelsea said, the intentionality.
Yeah. What are those numbers? What did you give us that final breakdown here of what your conversion ratio was at 2%? What did you decide of the acceptable rate would be?
I put another 2% and it said I could get back to another 60 units. So yeah.
Which at your average sales price is how much in volume?
540,000. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be a lot of
A lot of volume?
Yeah.
Yep. Out of curiosity, please the chat box, are an individual or individual plus admin or a team? I'm just curious who we've got on the call. Are you individual plus admin, or a team? We're going to put you in kind of two camps, even though I know there's a lot of nuance there. So Will's got a team. Yep.
I mean, I have an admin, I'm still an individual.
Yep. So individual plus admin for Carol. Got you on that. Yep. Team with Louisa, individual with Nicole, solo with Mary. Gotcha. Yep. Yep. Andy plus admin as well with Mike. So knowing that Indy again, yep, very good. Knowing that we've got a large group of individual folks, what I tend to notice here is a couple things. The good news is 9 times out of 10, you individual plus admin folks, you don't necessarily have a massive lead gen spend problem. Who on this call is spending massive amounts on lead gen, internet leads, yada, yada, yada? Anyone have what they feel like is just, I'm spending on that side of things? Good to go? So if you have a team, there's a couple of you with teams, this is something I would absolutely take a peek at, right? Is make sure that, Lisa, it's so good to see your face. I just have to say that. So good to see your face. Make sure that we take consideration into this slide. Don't laugh at my corny jokes here. Stop, collaborate, and evaluate your lead spend, right? One of the things that tends to happen when we get a team is we think to ourselves, I need to add more leads. My people are here for leads. And there's some truth to that. But we end up with this influx of leads that no one's actually working. Has anyone ever experienced that? Yeah. Not just me? Yeah, didn't think so. Okay. So Jason does recommend, Jason Abrams, pause and evaluate your lead spend rather than continuing to just buy more leads. Now that we know how much our database is actually worth with the amount of money that we've put into it, the amount of time that we've put into it, et cetera, and we have clarity over our conversion rate and what we could make our conversion rate be and the opportunity that lies in our database. Out of curiosity, having done that math, how many people are dying to go buy leads versus dying to figure out how to get the money out of their database that already exists? Team leads, raise your hand. Okay. Team database, raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. And let's be clear, there's no one right or wrong answer. It's evaluating what is going on in my database. So Carol, you mentioned earlier, I'm going to need more leads in to be able to retire. Yeah, so she's got both. I need to nurture the database that I have at a higher level, and I need to strategically figure out how to add additional leads in, right? Okay, Mike, who I happen to know what's going on in his business because I coach him individually, right? I don't disagree. We do need some additional leads in, right? For a lot of folks, we need to nurture the heck out of that database in a more serious way. So let's look at that. Okay, so now that we've stopped and evaluated our lead spend, and I know this slide is small, so I am going to make this big so that everyone can see. Not that way, I'm not. Let's try it again. This way. Can everyone see this massive screen? No, they can't. It says screen share is paused. Let's try it again. Oh, I can't do that. Darn. Okay, ignore me. We're all going to have to squint at it. We're all going to have to squint at it. Give me 1 second. Pull that back up. So Jason's recommendation here is first and foremost to go through and let's evaluate the database as it currently stands. I'm going to see if I can't make this a little bit more legible. Apparently I can't. Can you guys see how tech savvy I am? So good. There we go. I knew I could do it, right? So first we need to take a look at when were my people last contacted in my database. Do it by descending order. We'll get a feel for who has not been contacted in a long time. Does everyone else have call bias? They call the same people more frequently than others? Yeah, right? We need to do the opposite. We need to get in there and figure out who have I not contacted in quite some time and get in there and do the work, right? Once we do that, DTD2 is such a wonderful solution for this. Absolutely, absolutely. Once we do that, we need to figure out, is it a matter of figuring out, is this person worth contacting and putting on a DTD2 like Keith said, right? Or is it bad contact? Is it the Hamburglar? Is it Biggie Smalls, right? Get them out. Get them out. Okay. Instead of, this I thought was such a good point, instead of immediately diving in and purchasing new leads, Jason recommended once you go through and you figure out, okay, I've got some people in here that are legit contacts. They appear to have real names, right? I've got some piece of contact information, maybe not all of it. Instead of just going out and buying new leads, it might be worth looking into something like Likely.ai. Has anyone not heard of Likely.ai or some of those similar services? HomeBot, what are the other ones? Home IQ, those types of services. Fellow is another one, Fello. These are AI scrubbing sites that you can dump your database into or portions of your database, and they'll go through and attempt to find contact information or find when they may be likely to sell. Does this make sense? Yeah. Yep. And Jason's point here is this often costs a fraction of what you may have spent on the initial lead. So you may spend an additional 50 cents to revive a $10 to $15 sunk cost in a lead that you are currently unable to contact. So that's a really interesting tip there. If you've got a chunk of people, so Chelsea's a great example of this. She said, I've got my real people, and then I've got my, I don't know who these people are people. Not the Hamburglar, not Notorious B.I.G. Those are folks that we know are trash. I love Notorious B.I.G., but he's not buying a house. We know this, right? Okay. Instead of just sinking all those people, we may want to go through and see what we can find through a service. Will asks, should we be adding bad contacts, unverified contact information to command? That adding it intentionally, Will, I'm going to say no. Adding it if it comes through some sort of lead aggregate system and it's dumping immediately into command, I'm going to say, especially for you owning a team, and I'm not sure what your team structure looks like, it might be worth having someone on the team responsible or someone's responsible for kind of sorting through that data and figuring out who's legit, who do I need to clean up, who needs to get canned. Does that answer that question? Any other questions about a likely.ai type service? Really handy dandy thing, truly, truly. Okay, let me zoom back out. Whoops, not that much. Okay. Again, diving into your database at a deeper level. I just cannot get the zoom right on this, can I? Just gonna have to, okay. Look at that. There's a thing that says exactly to fit it to screen. I'm telling you, technology in me. It's amazing the things it can do. If you truly want to get a higher conversion rate from your current contacts, you must purposely inspect a few things each week, not once a quarter, not once we look up and the pipeline's empty, not when we hire an admin, right? Each week in 30 minutes, that's all it takes. Every lead that you want to reactivate is on a 12 days pain cycle, right? 12 days of pain. Okay, right? Every active buyer in the system is on an automated email property search or a monthly neighborhood nurture in the area they want to buy. Easy peasy. Every person in the database that is not an active buyer is on an automated email property search or a monthly neighborhood nurture in the area that they live in. Sort your database each day by recently active and contact those people who were recently on the site. It's an obvious one. Let's look for the low-hanging fruit. Every contact is on a quarterly smart plan. Keith already said it, DTD2. Or a task is set to call every contact at least once a quarter, DTD2. All task smart plan activities are done when they are due. Who loves delaying a task? Let me tell you, don't set a task if you're not going to do it. Just don't do it. Because I can promise you the number of times that I've heard someone come back to a coaching call and say, I've got 689 tasks and I don't know where to start and I'm overwhelmed. Right? Insert term for your CRM, task, reminder, whatever it might be. If you're not going to do the tasks, don't set them up. Don't do it. Okay? Let me pause for a second. What ahas have we had thus far? What questions, what thoughts are coming up? So thus far, we have evaluated the value of our database, the amount of sales we can be getting out of our database, where we currently stand, and starting to dig into a touch plan. What are you getting out of this?
For me, it's important. Of course, I like to show my face when I'm talking. You can't even see my face. How about that?
Here we go.
Can you? No, anyway. Wait, I'm sitting in a high chair in my kitchen, so it makes it difficult. But you know, I don't like math. I never did in high school. I know how to cap though. I tell you, I know how to make sure that I got what I need to have to stay capping once I reset and cap again. So that part, you know, I know how to do that. But this is really really scrubbing my database, getting those phone numbers that's not in there. We sent out emails to get phone numbers. And it's like, okay, now it just making me really, especially when I did the numbers, I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna have to keep working. I make more money than I'm gonna do if I just stop working.
Yeah.
So it's really like really digging deep into my database. I get numbers. I never bought leads. I still don't. I mean, they call me all the time. I get more referrals. Got like just 2 today. I was out of town and got referrals. But so it's really, really, really scrubbing my database and getting those phone numbers and do what I need to do. Make that a task. And if I just add 3 or 4 a day, you know, do it small so it don't become overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because just listening to this call, I was like, shoot, I'm getting off this call. Click. I was ready to get a lead. Honestly, it was like, I don't want to deal with this because I mean, like, but that's, you know, it's just fighting through it and being intentional about what I know I need to do. Being in this business over 24 years, still doing good in it. I'm grateful and still being able to get referrals and having 8, 9 pendings and steady getting new listings. That's good for me, especially in this kind of market. So anytime I can get new information to help me continue to get better, I'm always for it. So glad I
Absolutely.
didn't hang up.
I'm glad you didn't too. And I'll tell you too, so many of us have that story built into our heads. I don't like math. I'm not good at math. Tune out. I'm out of here. No thanks. Y'all can do it yourselves, right? The thing of math is why I've come to love it. Why I've come to love what I'm going to call real estate math is that it's just giving us the facts, the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Right? There's no story around it. There's no emotion around it. There's no nothing. And for someone who preferred English and history, I like a good story. I like, right, give me all the, this is just the facts. It's just the score.
Yeah.
So it really forces us to look at what are the facts? What do I want my reality to be? And what is the gap that's there that I need to cross to get there? Right? Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Louisa said, it sounds like Gary wants us to focus on our sphere and contacts. Why are sphere and contacts important in this market?
It's how we stay in business.
It is.
That's what made it be your business, yeah.
It
And
is.
staying connected and don't become, because it's interesting. People, when you sell them a house, if you don't stay in contact with them, they just go to the next, what's in front of them. That's how we think. We go right there, even though we know you sold it to us, nothing personal. But when we want something to happen, we go right to what's close in front of us. So
100%. The number of times, and I say this with all the love in my heart, please hear me carefully. The number of times that I have a client come on a call and say, I just talked to them 3 months ago. I just talked to them a month ago. I just sold them the house 2 years ago. Why did they go with agent so-and-so? Wow. I don't care. I don't care. And it's, I love you. I'm sorry. I know that it hurts. I know that it sucks. I empathize with you. I have compassion for the situation. But if we're not constantly touching them, it ain't going to happen. 2 months ago doesn't matter. 6 months ago doesn't matter. 2 years ago definitely doesn't matter. Right? The other thing is in a shifting market. How many of us have read Shift? Yeah, if you haven't read it, dust it off, go buy it. This is the time to really dive into Shift. Yep, we got a thumbs up, right? So in the Shift book, all those little quotes in the margin, you guys know what I'm talking about? It says something amazing and it'll say Ben Kinney. It'll say something amazing and it'll be Lance Loken, right? All of those people built their businesses to what we now know them to be in the shifted market. Yes? Say yes. Yes. Right? It's because they took market share, i.e. added to their database. Yes? Big yes. Big yes. Right? So then the question becomes, Jay asks us, or Jason asks us, or the whole room asked us, are my touches, 2 things, needed and useful? Has anyone ever been on a touch plan for someone else's, certainly not our own, business, non-real estate, something, I don't know what it is, and looked at the touch plan and been like, gosh, these people are, I don't care anything about this. Delete, unsubscribe, archive. We got to make sure that our touches are needed and useful. And for that, and I'll send this out in an email as well. If you guys want this, please, any of this material that you guys want, drop your email in the chat box and I'll make sure to pull that before we leave. what is this? 6 pages of unique, useful, and arguably needed touches. You're going to notice, you can take a picture, but I'm going to send it to you as well because there's 6 pages of it. You're going to notice that most of these are in-person events. You guys doing in-person events? Yeah. I mean, these are good, guys. This is good stuff. Not all of them are in person. One of the examples, and I can probably find this page and throw it up on the screen. I'll work on finding that. One of the examples was someone created, let's see here, someone created leaf bags. Here it is, that they dropped off to their farm. Check this out. How smart is this? Leaf bags that they dropped off to their farm, 10,000 of them, this person. They even got a hilarious picture of a dog, you know, utilizing it as a restroom, which I thought was funny, made me laugh. But envision this, you drop off 10,000 leaf bags to your farm, your neighborhood, your HOA, whatever. It doesn't have to be 10,000. Make it smaller, make it manageable, whatever it is. And you pull out one morning for work and it's trash day or it's the leaf collection day or whatever, right? And you look down the street and it's nothing but your branding and advertising all the way down the street. Does that get anyone else as excited as it gets me? Yes, please. Genius idea. Her branding is on all of it. Doesn't matter which side of the bag either. It's there. Right? Needed and useful. People want that. People are going to use that. And it's a really clever branding thing. Right? Yes, I will send you guys that 6-page touch plan. I got a couple of email. Yep, perfect. I got a couple of email addresses. Anyone else's? Let's make sure we drop those. I'm going to say it again towards the end too, just so I can make sure that everyone gets those. So unique touch plan absolutely needs to happen. Absolutely needs to happen. Let's talk a little bit. Now that we have the clarity of what our database is, what it could be, what holds you guys back from creating the database touch plan or the database of your dreams? Let's be vulnerable. What holds you back from creating the database of your dreams?
The time it takes to do it.
Say more about that.
Well, it's just fine, you know, I guess for me, it's like just doing it. I want to hire the people to do it. And all I want to do is talk to people and have them sell their homes or find a home. I want to put the people in place that can handle that for me.
That's fair. Let me ask you guys this. Who all is familiar with their regional tech trainer or their office tech trainer? Yeah?
Yes.
Just throwing it out there. I don't know if this is possible or not. I've had some clients that have had success with this though. What would it look like if you, for example, you, Carol, or anyone else reached out to your tech trainer and said, I want you to help me with my database. I'll pay you to help me with my database. I want it cleaned up.
Sense.
I want you to hold me accountable to it. And I want for us to sit down over the next 3 weeks, whatever. I'm just making up timelines here. And by the end of 3 weeks, I want us to have been able to get everyone on a touch plan that I can feel proud of. Can you help me with that? Yeah. If not something like that, hiring it out, leveraging it out, which is a totally fine option. Totally fine option. It is still going to require some of your own presence because you know the people in there, right? And you're going to have to interact with the tagging and all that stuff. But you can absolutely leverage that to some extent. If not that, how do we make it more manageable?
Break it down.
Break it down.
Put it on your schedule.
Say that again.
Time block it.
Time block it.
Mhm.
Someone said earlier, it might have been Carol, that I'm just going to do a few at a time, 3 a day, I think she said, right? We don't have to do all 268 of them all in one day. Out of curiosity, again, Mike, you said, I'm going to pick on you again because I can see your face. Mike, how many people did you say we had in your database?
1,800.
1,800. If we just focus, this is an activity we can all do. If we just focused on working days, Monday through Friday, maybe you work Monday through Thursday, whatever your working days are. How many working days would it take to get through them by X amount of time?
About 36 weeks, taking 2 weeks off for the year.
If you did, okay, if every single day you
mean-
did how many?
Yeah, if I just took 1,800 divided by 50 weeks, I mean, that's 36 contacts a week. I mean, it's not that many people I have to contact
Yeah,
to just keep in touch. Now, if I want to do that once a quarter, I mean, it's going to be a little bit more, but let's say I do that twice a year, I contact 60 people a year, and it's stupid numbers to keep in touch with so many people and just get referrals and business from that. And I didn't share earlier, but I've got a friend who bought a book of business from somebody for $200,000, and he turned that into a multi-million-dollar business in 4 years, just by keeping in touch with the people that he bought from somebody else. That's not even including his own database, just
Wow.
silly. What you can turn your business into just by calling and saying hi to people.
there's no magic in it. And that's why it's Mike's words, not mine. Stupid and silly. It's stupid and silly math. It's so silly, right? Just by trying, just by setting up a touch plan and sticking to it. Doesn't have to be the most sexy touch plan in the world, right? $200,000 business into a multi-million-dollar business. And the funny thing about that is it's not the business that he bought. It's what he did with it. Does that make sense? Right? No one believes on this call that that was some magical golden goose $200,000 business, right? No one's under that delusion, correct? It was what he did with it once he got it. You all just did the math. You all now know what your business could be worth with a slight increase in conversion. It just takes getting it done. So one of the things that slows us down is the time. And we've already had a conversation around leverage around that. The other thing I think, I'm just going to use your words, Mike, and kind of spin them, so stop me when I'm wrong, is not understanding the simplicity of the action that we have to take. Is that fair? Is that okay? Yeah. Because once we break down, okay, it's 36 contacts a week. Well, you may say to yourself, I could do more than that. I could at least do 50 a week of cleaning up. Well, then that knocks my time down to 28 weeks and then it's done, right? Or whatever. What else stops us from doing it? Time and lack of clarity. Is there anything else?
What if it works?
What if it works? Say more about that.
Yeah, if it works, am I going to be able to handle it?
Oh, my favorite problem to have.
Right?
And it's a problem, right? We're not going to pretend like it's not. It's a problem. Holy smokes, I woke up and I've got 18 buyers that want to see a house.
Right.
What would you do in that situation, Mary?
I would have to leverage right now because I couldn't handle it myself. I'm good at, I couldn't handle 18. And this is everything that you're hearing everywhere. We have an inventory problem and, but Dana is my coach and she's given me several ideas of how to fix that. And I don't know, I'm looking for it just to come together. I just want it to come together. I don't want to have to call to find out, hey, who do you know is looking to sell a house that would fit this mold? Yeah, it's too time consuming. But think of how much money I would make. Not for you to think, but for me.
Oh, I'll think about it too.
Deal with
Yeah.
that problem when you get there.
Yeah.
You can
that's
leverage.
it.
You can leverage that. It's pretty easy.
That's it.
Yeah. And what's fun about this too, and this was the last bit that I've had prepared for us to potentially go into, is once and I'm so glad you said that, Mary, is that sometimes what stops us from truly utilizing the business that we've intended to create to its highest and best use is what are the problems that that's going to then create, and how do I work through that? And I think that so often, especially those that prefer to have a more intimate, small team business, start thinking, well, I don't want to 7th level. That's not my goal. And let me be the first, maybe the first to say, or the 12th to reiterate, just because there are 7 levels does not mean that that's what your business has to look like. Okay. One of the things that was really interesting in this last session that Gary put the top agents through is he showed some models of teams. And this one in particular I liked because this was a gentleman, Dan, who had been a solo agent for quite some time and ended up in a situation, Mary, kind of like what you were talking about and kind of like what Carol was talking about, where he's got a bunch of business and is looking to retire at some point. And he's the only sole person that's in charge of this business right now. And so check this out. He created a really tight team. You'll notice that most of his team, aside from himself, is administrative. And then he's got someone working listings, someone working buyers. How much business, just throw in the chat box. Let's just have fun for a second. How much business in volume do you think a team this size is doing? Now take note, they're in San Diego, so take that into account price range wise. Just guess. How much volume, how many units do you think this team's doing? 80 units. Who else? We're going to play prices right. 200 units, 100, 100, 130, 130. Check this out, guys. 66 million in volume. 66 million in volume. Right? His net expenses, his net income after expenses, including a CEO salary. There you go. Will waited. Will's cheating. Will gave his answer after. Clever. His net income, the team's net income after a salary to the owner as well, was 533. That's pretty freaking cool. Right? Some of the other models that they shared are kind of like Pozak Group, right? Some big teams. But this one's pretty tight. This one's pretty tight. He's able to do this because he has, check this out, powerful community reputation, 35% market share. Database. That's database. He's not buying leads.
No, it's interesting. Everything, this is great because it's loving on your database. If you're loving on your database, your community, staying in front of people, I mean, this is attainable for everybody that's licensed to sell real estate. You get out of it what you put in it.
100%. 100%. And Gary kept emphasizing this too, that is the business that you're creating the highest and best business that you could create to give you the highest and best life that you could possibly have. That doesn't mean the most complicated, right? That doesn't mean the biggest in terms of people, right? Doesn't mean this. It could mean this. Could mean like half of this. I don't, but are we growing a business or are we just selling real estate? And it all starts with your database. It all starts with your database. If you can get that database solved such that you have such a big problem, like Mary said, that we just have so much business, suddenly you've got a revenue problem, a good one. You've got a business that we can stabilize, right? Make consistent. Okay. Let me hop off the soapbox for a second. What other lingering questions do we have or thoughts? All of the stuff that I've shown you today, the screenshots, what am I trying to say? The slideshow, the database touch ideas, and the agent business models I will send. So if you still want those sent and you haven't dropped your email, just make sure you drop your email. I've got everyone else's that already has. What have I brought up that is just creating like a crazy, weird conundrum in your brain that we can help to solve? If there's no weird questions, and all weird questions, I love weird questions. I don't mean that disparagingly. If there's no questions, then what's the takeaway that you're going to take and immediately implement in your business? Because this is about immediate action.
I really like the assessing the database thing, because we've talked about how do you buy databases, and with our referral retirement program and stuff like that. I've read a bunch of books, and it's like 3 to 5 times your net profit, which just seems like an unattainable thing for somebody to go and buy. Like your business, it's like $300,000 to $500,000 instead of like 130, or even like if it's a smaller one, like 10 grand, you know?
Absolutely. And I will say too, that, obviously if you're looking, and let me just say this too, that a major opportunity right now is looking for retiring agents' businesses for sure. Absolutely. If you're not looking for that, start peeling your eyes back. It's a really good opportunity. Most people buy people's databases. And if you saw, those are air quotes there, they buy people's databases through a referral program. I'm going to refer you X amount for a certain amount of time, and then it's going to dwindle down until I just own the database. Just by the way, those clean sales like Chelsea's talking about, I tend to notice they're further and fewer between. Fewer and further between. Golden handoff. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So Keith is going to clean out the database and add 10 contacts, I'm assuming is what that is, right? Yep, 10 contacts a week. And I'm going to assume that those are going to be strong contacts that are on a strong touch system. Yeah, love it, love it. Anyone else have a thought or a takeaway or anything that they are going to implement immediately getting off of this call?
My database.
Your
It'll
database.
definitely add, yes, and be intentional about adding all the new contacts that I'm getting. Like I talk to people every day, so I get at least 2 to 3 people a day that I put in my notepad on my phone, send them my link that's in my phone, and then don't put them in the contacts. So I'm going to do that.
Yep. So we're getting halfway there, but we're not getting them into our system to touch and love on them. Yep. Yep. Which is common. Yeah. Database and build a plan to get them on it by 6/1. Love that, Mary. Very good. What I'm going to encourage you to do, tagging contacts is strong and weak. Yeah, that's huge. What I'm going to encourage you to do is, at the very least, if nothing else, bring these numbers back to your coach to say, here's what we got. Here's what my projected goal is in terms of my conversion out of my.
I think she froze.
This is really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, come back.
Very good.
Good.
Now you see the value of it, right? The value is waiting. The value is waiting for you.
Mhm.
Well, so I really appreciate Leah providing this for us. She was there and having the information to share. So I want to thank everyone who did attend. Are you back alive, Leah? No, she's not.
No,
Okay.
she's frozen.
Oh, can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
I think one way to get your database cleaned up is to do an event, because we're working on doing an event, and we have to get all the invitations out. We can't miss anybody, and so we have to go through the database. It forces you to clean up your database. So I don't know.
That's good.
That's how it gets me motivated to do it.
Yeah. Lisa's having a big event in June 24th, I think. A couple of you are having big events. Mary's going to have something, I know, so, and Nicole. So anyway, I guess, I don't know how long we want to wait. Hopefully she will get on.
Actually, I want to get to some lead gen. So it's right in the middle now. So thanks for the invite, Dana.
You're
Great.
welcome. All right. And glad everyone came. And Lisa.
Thanks, Dana. Have a good weekend and holiday, everyone.
Thank you. And Leah will send this out, and I have the booklet anyway too, so it's really good information for all of us. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.